I've spent tens of thousands of dollars investing in this one skill that has made my company millions in return, and it allows me and my team to get much more done in less time. Here are 6 steps you can immediately implement to boost productivity, where if you don't do these, I promise you are losing money and losing time, 2 of your most valuable assets. Step number 1, deep work daily. Schedule 3 to 4 hours in your calendar each day for deep, uninterrupted, focused work on one task at a time while all other distractions are removed. UC Irvine conducted a study called The Cost of Interrupted Work that shows knowledge workers who are frequently interrupted take about 23 minutes on average to return to their original task. Another study coined the term attention residue, finding when people switch from one task to another, a residue of attention remains stuck in that previous task or notification, making it harder to fully engage with the new task. If that's not enough data for you to show the importance of this, I don't know what is. In my experience, I can get more done in a 3 to 4 hour time block of deep work than most knowledge workers get done in 3 to 4 total days of work. For a majority of people, mornings are the best time to do this. Mornings are when you are the most creative, the most productive, and the most focused. However, there are some of you oddballs out there where this isn't the case, and maybe you like to work late at night. Regardless, find the best time of day for you, schedule it into your calendar, and protect that time like your life depends on it, because it kind of does. Because when you have this increase in productivity, that saves you a lot of time, and that is time that you never get back. Once you have it scheduled in your calendar, you want to let your team know about your deep work hours so they respect it and know that you will be less available and harder to reach during that time. And if they are skeptical on this and don't truly understand how important it is, send them this video to watch and cite the same data that I have cited with you. And for this to actually work, you want singularity of focus. Biggest step is to remove your phone from the room you are in. The University of Texas did a study that the mere presence of a phone on the desk or in the room with you, even if it's turned off, has a negative impact on self-control and cognitive processes. And the same study found that people's ability to hold and process data improved significantly if the smartphone was in another room while they were taking the test. A separate study by FSU showed the probability of making an error increased by 28% after receiving a phone call and 23% after getting a text. And lastly, a final study showed more than a 30% improvement in overall productivity when simply working with your phone in another room. Turning your screen over, but still having it on the desk with you is not enough. And if you can't put it in a separate room than you, at the least, turn off your notifications and put it in a drawer or a cabinet that is out of your sight. So build the habit and start doing this immediately. And then you want to toggle on work mode on all of your devices. Apple even has features where you can auto schedule this across your devices to have it match your deep work hours. And if you don't use Apple devices, there's a bigger conversation that needs to be had with you. The reality is, if you have an Android, people think you are broke, and there's nothing you can do to change that. It's a true testament to the genius branding of Apple, and you can whine all you want, but the only solution is to buy Apple devices. And at the minimum, you should have an iPhone. And now that I got all the Android users mad, let's move on to the next tip. And then close all the tabs and the apps on your computer. If you have a big computer monitor or multiple screens, there is an app called Haze Over. It's completely free, and it automatically dims every other app and window on your screen besides the one that you have open. It sounds like a small thing, but I promise you it is really badass, and you will find it helpful. And if you don't have a big computer monitor or multiple screens, you need to get one. There are real studies by the University of Utah, Microsoft, and more that show a productivity improvement range of 9% to 50% by simply having larger or more screens in front of you, with the biggest variable in this range being the type of task you're working on. So yes, there is science that shows you become more productive when you have bigger screens for your workspace. That means ditch the laptop. Next step for deep work, it helps to work off a timer, meaning buy a physical timer on Amazon and have it on your desk and turn it on with a set time when you start to accomplish working on tasks. This helps for you to stay on track, stay focused, and work faster when you are working against the clock. The next huge tip is during your deep work, this is not optional, you need noise canceling headphones, and then turn on music that faster taps you into a flow state. It really is crazy how good this works. However, there are rules to it as well. The main one being the music should not have lyrics. Lyrics are distracting and you don't need to keep switching it up. I have the same YouTube music playlist that I listen to while working over and over and over, and it never gets old. I've listened to every type of work and focus music over the years, and my all-time favorite music that taps me into a flow state of productivity is energizing classical music. Something happens when you listen to classical music that has lasted generations and has largely shaped the culture of modern society across the globe, where genius comes out. And given I've listened to it so much now while doing deep work, it's almost created a trigger where it much faster puts me into a flow state. There is one exception to modern day music, and that is Hans Zimmer. He is the Mozart of our time. It's like new age classical music, and I have listened to the entire movie soundtrack of Interstellar by Hans Zimmer while deeply working at least 1,000 times. Go down the rabbit hole and thank me later. And here's the last part, is that you need to understand the hardest part of any task is just starting. Most people just never start and continue for weeks, then months, then years, pushing back even just starting on what is most important. And if you find yourself not feeling like doing a task, here is my challenge to you. Set your timer for 5 minutes and then commit to starting it for just 5 minutes. If the 5 minutes goes by and you're still not really feeling it or getting into it, then that's fine. Reschedule it for tomorrow when your mind is fresh. But what I find is almost always, if I even just start the task, by the time I'm even 5 minutes in, I keep going because I got over the tallest hurdle just by starting it, and then you start to flow through the process. If you want to be the smartest social media expert in the room, you need to sign up for our weekly email newsletter, The Scaling Edge. You will join over 20,000 personal brands, founders, and social media experts, where every week we will send you the latest social media news, updates, and trends that truly are shaping the future of social media and help you make more money in 5 minutes or less. You can subscribe for free by going to scalingedgenews.com or clicking the link in the description below. And now that I just made you more money, let's get back to the video. Step number 2, prioritize and focus on one task at a time. Strategy is more important than hard work, and you want to make sure that you're working on the right things before you start working. So let's tell a quick story. Once upon a time, there was a young, ambitious lumberjack, and being proud of his stamina, he challenges an older, more seasoned lumberjack to a tree chopping contest. The bet was straightforward. Whoever chops down the most wood from sunrise to sunset wins. And at the start of the day, the young lumberjack swings his axe with all of his might, determined not to stop until dusk. And now the old lumberjack also starts early, but periodically, the young man notices him taking short breaks and stepping away from the chopping area. The young man thinks to himself, wow, he's losing precious time. I've got this in the bag, and continues to chop ferociously, never pausing. Then when the sun sets, they both tally the wood, and to the young man's shock, the older lumberjack has far outpaced him in total volume cut. Confused, the young man exclaims, I don't get it. I didn't stop once and you kept taking breaks. How in the world did you manage to cut more wood than me? The older lumberjack then smiled and replied, yes, I took breaks, but what you didn't see was that each time I sat down, I was sharpening my axe. The moral of the story is that strategy and preparation outperforms raw strength and nonstop effort. Uncle Warren Buffett spends almost all of his time reading and strategizing rather than trading hard like most investment traders, and he only invests in very few high conviction companies and is now one of the greatest investors of all time. There's an amazing book called The 12-Week Year, and it starts by defining your longer term vision. Where do you want to be and what do you want to accomplish in the next 1 to 3 years? Then you want to break it down into a 12-week vision. What can you realistically achieve in the next 12 weeks to move toward your long-term vision? Then once you have your 12-week vision, you want to set 2 or 3 key goals max. And you need to make sure that the goals are specific, measurable, and outcome focused. From there, you can break down your 12-week goals into weekly and even daily tasks, and the things you work on during your deep work should be the focused task you need to do in order to accomplish your 12-year vision than your longer-term vision. It's also recommended to avoid thinking beyond the 12-week horizon to maintain intensity and focus. This allows you to have full clarity and focus of what you need to work on. There's also a great tool called the RICE scoring tool, and it scores metrics such as impact, effort, and time to help you better prioritize tasks and projects as ideas come up. That way you continuously know what to focus on next. We have free templates for the quarterly game plan, the rice scoring tool, and the 12-week year strategy that you can get access to immediately by going to the link you see on screen or clicking the link in the description below. These are all resources that I use personally and that our team uses. We practice what we preach. So again, strategize and prioritize before your deep work and only focus in on one thing at a time. Step number 3, live off your calendar. I had a past mentor who used to constantly say no white space, meaning there should be no white space in your calendar and you should always be filling your time with tasks and activities that are going to move the needle and move you forward to accomplishing your goals. I have never in my life met an unproductive person who religiously uses their calendar. That means if you do religiously use your calendar, you therefore become more productive and more responsible and more on top of things. This is just the facts of life, almost like the laws of physics. And if something does get added to the calendar, the likelihood of it getting done is significantly higher versus if something does not get added to the calendar, the likelihood of it getting done is significantly lower. You can do this manually, but honestly, the manual approach is tedious, it's dated, and much less effective. There are much better automated solutions now. I just started recently using a software called Motion. I have no affiliation with Motion. I'm truly just a raving fan, and it is the best task and project management tool that exists on planet Earth. And I can say this because I've tried them all. They made it easy and seamless to add new tasks and projects. It takes a couple clicks and really a couple seconds to add a new task. They have a desktop app and a mobile app that will even connect to Siri, where you can tell Siri to add the task for you inside of Notion, which I also do often because it's even more efficient. And a lot of task and project management tools have added, honestly, just too many steps to create a new task, which I find makes you much less likely to use them ongoing. But that alone is not what makes Motion truly different. It uses AI to auto rank your task and then automatically add them to your calendar as time blocks. And then your task also chase you, where if you don't complete them during the time block that it has, it just continues to push it back on your calendar until you do complete it, and it continues to auto rank accordingly. And that is the game changer of Motion. Unless you specify otherwise, the time blocks it adds to your calendars are still marked as free, where it doesn't block off your availability from other people being able to book with you. Another cool thing you can do is set specific schedules in there. So I have my work hours and then I also have personal hours. But another benefit I've noticed when I started putting all my personal tasks on top of my work tasks in Motion as they come up as well, is I have gotten a lot more personal tasks done without making a trade where I get less done on the work side. Just more is getting done in general because of that increase in productivity. And everyone on my team has also seen increase in productivity because I immediately rolled it out team-wide to all the managers and above when I experienced how powerful it was for me as well. I've literally never done this with any other software, but because I love Motion so much and it's been so powerful for me, I did decide to get an affiliate link set up with them. So if you use the link in the description below to sign up with Motion, you will be supporting the channel. Regardless, you need to get this app. It will help you get more done in less time. So to summarize this step, begin living off your calendar minute by minute if you're not already. Put your work task in there, personal tasks, even schedule dates, dinners, workouts, your sleep schedule, everything. And if you feel like this is too rigid for you or this is too structured and it will remove your freedom or spontaneity, it actually does the opposite, because doing this allows you to get so much more done in less time. And that means it saves you time and allows you to do more of what you were doing before. Step number 4, create a digital brain. And what I'm about to say is going to upset a good amount of you watching or listening to this. And that is okay, because I was you at one point as well. It's time to ditch the pen and paper and go digital for your scheduling and task management. I know it's like a religion and you feel like not having your pen and paper or your planner or your ugly sticky notes that junk up your work area, not having those is like losing a part of your soul, but you need to make the switch. I have a huge stack of dozens and dozens of yellow notepads because for over 6 years, I used to plan my day every single day by writing it all out on a yellow notepad the night before. But alas, I learned better ways with better systems that have largely improved my productivity. I believe writing with pen and paper is incredibly valuable for journaling and brainstorming, produces many of the best ideas. There's just something primal and spiritual about it. I still do this almost every single day. I'm just saying that you need to ditch the pen and paper specifically when it comes to your scheduling, task, and project management. The human brain is designed to think creatively and problem solve. It is not designed to keep track of every little task and reminder as they come up. That is why we often forget to do something if we try to just remember to do it. Instead, what you need to do is create a digital brain to save and keep track of all your tasks and ideas as they come up so nothing ever gets forgotten. I have tested just about every app and solution for this on the market, and I've learned there are only two tools that you need for this. The first tool is Motion, which we already covered, and the second tool is your Reminders app. I personally love the Reminders app that comes installed on your iPhone and Apple devices. Then all you need to do from there is build the habit where every single task and idea that comes up, no matter how big or how small, gets added to Motion or gets added to your Reminders app. Both of these apps have made it seamless, where it literally just takes a few seconds to add a new task or reminder as they come up, so there are no excuses not to do this. The system I found to work best for me, if it's a task that needs to get done soon or immediately, I add it into Motion. If it's an idea or a potential task that can get done later down the road, I add it into my Reminders app. Then anytime I'm strategizing or my motion gets lower on task, I go to the Reminders app to see what I have logged there, and then I decide if and what I want to add into Motion to get it done more immediately. Since I built the habit and started following this process with both of these tools, my productivity has skyrocketed and nothing ever gets forgotten anymore. When productivity skyrockets and nothing gets missed, you make more money and you feel overall better and more accomplished as a person. I promise you that. If you're an established consumer brand or personal brand with a focus on growing your socials and want to learn more about working with us and receive a custom guarantee of up to 1 billion views in 180 days, apply now by going to the link you see on screen or clicking the link in the video description below. We can only take on 1 to 3 new clients each month, so apply now to learn more and lock in your spot. And now back to the video. Step number 5, learn and use keyboard shortcuts for all apps. This sounds small, but there are many studies that show learning and using keyboard shortcuts and hotkeys can significantly speed up common tasks by reducing time spent going to and from your mouse to navigate and click around. When I first got my MacBook when I was 16 years old, one of the first things I did was learn the system's keyboard shortcuts on how to navigate everything faster. And over the years, there is no telling how much time this has saved me. You can easily just Google keyboard shortcuts for Macs or Windows. There's also a desktop app called KeyQ that shows you the shortcuts for your system and all the apps. And many apps also have resources that tell you the shortcuts on how to navigate them faster. So overall, make it a habit to start learning the keyboard shortcuts across all the apps you use regularly and minimize the amount of time that you use your mouse as much as possible. It feels like a lot at first, but you'll be surprised of how quickly it sticks with you. And in less than 2 weeks, you'll be a pro, you will save more time, and you will look like a computer whiz when other people see you navigating your computer who haven't been put on game for this yet. If you haven't been using keyboard shortcuts, welcome to your new and better life. Step number 6, roll this out team-wide. If you haven't been taking notes or at least jotting down the action steps in your Reminders or Motion app, start by rewatching this video, noting down the action steps, and then implementing them. You need to first action this out and build the habits around it in order for your team to do the same. You have to lead by example. So next, if you haven't already, also share this video with each member of your team. Ask them to take notes and action steps on it, and then give them a deadline to watch it and circle back with you on their notes. There's another management productivity tip, by the way, always give deadlines. If you are not giving deadlines to your team, they're likely working slower than they otherwise would. And if you've gotten value from this video, it would be a huge help if you can also share this with others you think will get value from it as well. And then next step is you want to invite each of your team members to Motion. It will boost their productivity, which is great for you and it's great for your business. And inside of Motion, you can create workspaces where you and your team can set and monitor tasks to have a consolidated project management tool. Once all that's done, the last step is you need to mention all of this often to your team. This cannot just be one time. People need to be reminded more than they need to be taught. And if you are constantly bringing these processes up and using them yourself and speaking on the benefits with your team, they will adopt it as well. You have to lead by example. example. And if you don't have a team yet, it's time for you to start buying back your time and building a team. I'll have future videos coming out soon going in depth on buying back your time. It's one of the most valuable skill sets. And then we'll also have future videos on recruiting and retaining top world-class talent. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications to get alerted when new videos come out. These productivity hacks have allowed me to get much more done in much less time, making my company millions of dollars in the process. And I truly believe they can do the same for you if implemented. I'm curious as well. Drop down your favorite productivity hack in the comments below for all of us to share and collaborate. And then check out this video that you see on screen somewhere that goes over the top 5 social media trends that you need to know and implement right now.